Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I am Abe with MysticGenMara.com, a small town mystic from the middle of Idaho. And tonight, whenever you see this, I would like to introduce you to a new angel. And our angel that I would like to introduce you to today is... we'll call him an archangel because he is more powerful than a standard angel, but that doesn't quite fit his title. So that's the reason I'm putting just angel in a lot of the comments, because he's beyond an arc, but he's not really, doesn't really fit into the other categories. And that is Archangel Ramiel, or Ramiel. The meaning of the name basically is God's mercy, or God has thundered. But there's also some people who break down his name to mean God raises up. And there's a reason for that. If you want to choose a day of the week to introduce yourself or work with him, it would be Thursdays, which he shares dominion over with Archangel Ramiel. And this angel has a very interesting backstory. Some parts say that he maintains the records of heaven and earth, working with Archangel Metatron and some of the other recording angels, but there's also a little bit more to him, but that's his dominant primary. When you look him up, that's his primary job. Now, the closest elemental energy that aligns with him is earth, but that is a loose alignment at best. He doesn't fit the other ones, I'll just say that right now. Earth is the closest, but he's so far beyond so many of these elements, it's a little difficult to place him. If you want to work with gems, crystals, and stones, any of the agates or clear quartz are the best places to start, but you can also use alexandrite, cat's eye, which is give or take similar to tiger's eye. I interchange them all the time, but or sodalite, which is it's like lapis lazuli without the gold, basically. If you want to work with animals, or if you start having animals show up around you and it makes you wonder if this is one of the angels, this one's a little bit interesting. If you know some of the history of this creature, you'll know why I say that. His animal's closest alignment is the owl. And the reason I have to chuckle about that is owls show up also in UFO visitations, and off-worldly visitors tend to show up in owl form in people's memories. So it's interesting that Ramiel works with the owl as a spirit animal. You can work with colors similar to earth tones, greens, browns, grays, etc. And if you work like to set up altars and displays, those are colors that you can work with as well. Now, this is where Ramiel's story starts off with a bang, basically. He's not a usual angel in the fact of he was in the heavenly court praying incessantly all day long. Ramiel is one of the Watchers. The Watchers show up in the book of Enoch. Ramiel is one of the 20 leaders of the Watchers referenced in the book of Enoch. And this is the part where it's like, wait, what? He sinned and mated with human women, spawning the Nephilim. Now, his name's meaning God's mercy, God has thundered, but now you know where the last one comes in. God raises up. Ramiel is mentioned in the sixth angel out of the 20 Watchers in that line of Watchers. These 20 oversaw over 200 that fell and became part of fallen angels. It's interesting that Ramiel did not fall completely. Don't get me wrong, he did some bad things, but he didn't end his story with, oops, I messed up, now I'm going to go follow the dark side. Later in the book of Enoch, Ramiel is revealed to have been redeemed and brought back into the fold as a holy watcher angel. He became the 7th out of the 20 who actually were redeemed. Not all of them did. Only, I think, 7 or 8 total, and he was one of those that came back. And it's around this time that his name possibly changed, although there's some interesting theories about this. But his name may have been changed to Archangel Jeremiel, which it means God shall have mercy. It's a fitting name change if that's what happened. I've only found that in one source, so you can make your decision on as to that. I personally don't think that that was a name change directly. Otherwise, we wouldn't have Ramiel today. Either way, Ramiel was tasked with watching over those who rise, bringing him closer into alignment with Archangel Metatron. When I say rise, it's people who are in a spiritual ascending journey. They are searching, they are growing, they are expanding, and that is where Ramiel's focus tends to be, but he also works very heavily in the Akashic records. So he's paying attention to this stuff, and it's what you're doing in this life, your past life, future lives, even in between lives. He's really paying attention to people who are on the ascension path. With an interesting history like Archangel Ramiel, what do you think his work means in a practical sense? In our world, not just what he does up there. Because if you're going to call on him, knowing about the Akashic records is cool and all, but how do you play that into our world? And this is where we come into how we can work with him energy. He is seen as the Angel of Hope, guiding those who pass into the heavenly kingdoms. He's also responsible for orchestrating or providing divine visions. These can be full prophecies. Doesn't have to mean he works with prophets directly, but it could also be understanding your different oracle uses, tarot, runes, I Ching, however. So if you were on a spiritual quest and need vision guidance, and when I was going through this, I kept running across that word, and the only image that kept coming into my head is scrying, because that is a more visual aspect of that, whether it's lake scrying, creek scrying, water scrying, sky scrying, clouds, ink, black mirrors, all of that. Ramiel could be the angel that you want to work with in that aspect, but they also, when I was working through this, my guides were also saying he's good for all forms of divination, but the ones that trigger I just completely lost the visual anyway, clairvoyance. Those specifically with clairvoyance are the ones that he's going to emphasize. So the visions, not just impressions. Ramiel, as the Angel of Hope, can help you when you're working through sadness and depression. And if nothing else I have learned over the last 4 years is that we hide our depression, our sadness, and frustration as humans way more than we probably should. You can also ask for his aid as you go through various dark nights of the soul, because you don't go through just one. You go through several, and each time you dig up, work through, sort out the next level and next layer of your shadow. Once you have achieved full integration, that's when the avatar concept comes into play, but that's not something you do in one lifetime. So he's here to help you see that there is light in the darkest times. Even if it's as small of a light as a birthday candle, it's still light to help guide you through that darkness. And as you go through dark times, again, right now we're coming out of winter, Valentine's coming up, especially if you're single, these can be a little rough. Forgiveness is a huge aspect of processing dark energy, especially depression and frustration and anger. When you're working with these heavier, denser emotions, Ramiel can help us understand how to forgive better. Because think about what he did. He was one of the angels that made, one of the watchers, I won't call him an angel at this point, one of the watchers that mated with humans and created a soulless creature that was bent on destruction. And he was forgiven for those transgressions and actually elevated back into the heavenly courts. So how would someone like that help us in life? With forgiveness. He was forgiven massive sins. Well, that means that we can seek forgiveness as well. No matter how you view the sin concept, we all do good, we all do bad. People do good to us, we do good to them, bad to us, bad to them. However it works, working through that forgiveness aspect of forgiving a hurt, seeking forgiveness for a wrong committed, this is the energy that Ramiel can help with, because he can help you understand and embrace, and this is key, your need for forgiveness. We may understand it on an intellectual stance, but until you take it into that need, that feeling of, I need to deal with this, then you really don't process it well. And here is the one that I thought was the most interesting, because I talk about this a lot. Ramiel can help you forgive the most important person in your life. That is yourself. Ramiel worked through a great deal of his own emotional traumas, realizing what he had done wrong, how it affected humanity, how it affected the heavenly courts, the angelic hosts in the realm that they existed in, and how damaging what he did, what really was. Yes, he was forgiven by God's source divine, he was forgiven by the other angels and the other watchers, but he held guilt. So he had to go through the process of understanding his guilt, understanding his shame, understanding what he had done wrong, and then bringing that divine energy in to forgive himself. With everything that had happened with him, which was a lot, he had to come to terms with that and seek forgiveness from his own soul. That is huge. That's why he is classified as one of the angels, to help you understand and forgive yourself. As long as you're walking this planet, there's really nothing you've done that you can't forgive yourself for. But you have to be willing to go inside, work through those emotions, and process through. And sometimes you need outside help as well. So if you need that, by all means, go find a counselor, go find a therapist to help you process that. But Ramiel, on the spiritual side of things, can help you understand, process, and work through that forgiveness as well. Pay attention to your dreams if you actually want to reach out to Ramiel, though, because as an angel that helps with divine visions, his most common type of communication, in most documented cases anyway, is through your dreams. He speaks to you in your dreams, sometimes in literal aspects, in literal practices, but he also is very fluent in the language of symbols. Symbols that you recognize. For the most part, he's going to use what you know to help you understand. But sometimes he puts in other symbols or other images that are not familiar to you, because you need to do the work of understanding what that means. Once you come to that understanding, that symbol will have complete meaning for you, and you'll understand why it was brought in. But that is one of the things that I ran across in several bits and pieces about Ramiel, is that he likes to challenge you within your capabilities. So, starting with your dreams, Ramiel can aid in your spiritual journey. He can bring in knowledge from his record keeping that he's working on. He can also aid you in understanding your spiritual journey of why you are walking the path that you're on, how you're doing, which is always interesting, and helping you understand where you are at. Just because you're like, oh, I've been doing this for so many years, when you start to actually process it, you're like, I've only made this much progress. That's not to condemn, that's to say, this is where you're at, this is where you're going. What can we do to take roadblocks out of the way? What can we do to ease this spiritual journey? How can we help? And that's the energy that he wants to help you understand. Sometimes the ego gets in the way and like, oh, look, I'm doing all these things, I am so good. But because of that, you've actually stopped your spiritual progress. And that's the energy that he can help you understand. It's not pleasant, trust me. Ramiel is one of the angels that I would classify as not a love and light, rainbows and butterflies angel. He tends to be very blunt, to the point, very, this is what's going on, this is how we're doing this. He will soften things because he wants to have it in your worldview and in your perspective, but he is not going to make it nice to help your fifis. Your feelings really don't mean a lot to him, other than if he pushes you too far, then you break. That's not good. But sometimes blunt truth is the best option, and every angel is going to take that to a different level. Ramiel pushes you outside your comfort zone. There's not going to be a padded, now, it's alright, maybe we can lose a couple of pounds and the dress will fit better. No. He's going to call you out. He's going to tell you that vehicle costs too much. He's going to tell you that you shouldn't have spent the money on that until you've actually lost the weight. He's going to get after you when you try to make excuses. When you work with some of these angels, and I've talked about a few of them in this way, they're not going to play as people in this world will play. They're looking at things from a spiritual perspective, and that growth sometimes means things have to change in the physical world. That's not comfortable. That's where he's at. Ramiel has been known to help ease the pain of crossing over for those who are dying. This is where his biggest acts of compassion come in. He helps with reviewing your life history once you have crossed over, and he helps you review your life while you're alive as well. That's the part that's a little uncomfortable sometimes. And sometimes when you're doing a life review while alive, like in the dream state, it can help you clear up a situation you're currently dealing with. Like if you just feel like you keep running your head into a wall and you can't move past it and you don't know why, make sure you're ready for it. Call out to Ramiel and be like, dude, help me figure this out. He will show you. It may not be the way you want to, it may not be the easiest pill to swallow, and it may end up coming out that you are the person in your own way. That happens a lot, trust me. But once you process and understand that, then you can deal with the situation and move beyond it. Again, it's not comfortable, but it can help you to review and see where those little quirks are that need to be adjusted. Sometimes it's really minor, sometimes there's bigger things at play. And sometimes you're being told no for a reason and you need to turn around because you're running into the wall that's blocking a path you shouldn't be on. So understand when you work with some of these angels, most of the time it's let me rephrase. It's always going to be an uplifting experience. It may not be a comfortable experience. So Ramiel can help you look at things from a broader perspective. This is huge to me. When you look at the divine visions and the images that he brings in that direction, it may focus on you, but when he's bringing in symbols you're not familiar with, most of the time he's doing that to take this view and expand it outwards. Sometimes we get stuck in a tunnel vision. This is where our life is, this is what we're doing. A wall comes up and we just keep hitting the wall, not realizing, let's say that the wall what we're hitting is a 12-foot patch, but if we step 2 feet to the side, it's actually just a post and we could go around it. We just have blinders on, so all we see is that. So helping us understand that broader perspective, that bigger viewpoint, is very helpful. And when you get along, when you start to not get along, when you look at the bigger picture, you realize where the errors are. Sometimes they're specifically yours. Sometimes it's a group has went the wrong direction or pulled you away because of, well, you thought that was right. That happens all the time. Means you're human. And this helps you check yourself, be like, okay, that's not quite where I was headed. I need to pull back over here. Broader perspective gives you a lot better aspect of where you're at in life. That's the type of stuff that Ramiel can do. It's about understanding you, where you're at, your history, where you're going, but also helping you step out of your comfort zone, because we get complacent in our comfort. Ramiel's like, that's fine and dandy, but your comfort could be slowing you down or stopping your spiritual progress. There's several of these angels, and I've made this comment before. When you call upon them, make sure you're ready for the answer. That doesn't mean that you have to be ready for all of it. Be ready to change and shift if the information comes in that that's what needs to happen. Be ready for blunt and honest truth, because that's what you're going to get. So, again, not saying that to be negative, just being upfront. The angelic hosts do not respond like we do. They are seeing things from a bigger perspective, and that changes how their interpretations and how their communication works. So, the one interesting thing with Ramiel is he's not just, I think I have an image here, there we are. He's not just the stoic watcher with multiple wings, dressed a little aggressively in armor, but also scholarly. That's not quite the only image, and I couldn't find a good one that wasn't copyrighted, so I won't even go there. Ramiel's not really well known outside of the spiritual communities, except for one, and it's only the one. I literally dug to find out if there was more. One spot. And I vaguely remember this. I had to Google it to be like, I thought he was in, and I thought it was a video game, but it was actually an anime called Neon Genesis Evangelion. Old anime. I don't even know if it's in print anymore. The manga comics are manga, but not the anime, and I watched the anime first, so but I can't remember the exact story arc because of, like I said, this was like 15 years ago. But he made an appearance, and he didn't make an appearance as an angel. He made an appearance as a giant blue octahedron. And I was like, why do I not remember? I remember the shaping part, but I didn't realize that was the angel. So, if you do know where you can find it, or if it happens to be on a streaming service, comment below, because that would be handy. It's one that I want to rewatch now that I've figured out who is in it and why. But Ramiel did make a more recent appearance, and I will say, when I was just kind of checking things out to see if he's still running around, there's a couple of, and I didn't post these because I haven't read them and I can't tell you what it's about, so I'm not going to go there. But there are a couple of random comments and random books out there that are aligned with like romance novels tying into Ramiel as one of the angels. Like I said, I haven't read them, so I could not tell you about them, so they're not marked. But if you Google, be aware that there is some of that out there. If you have not read the Book of Enoch yet, I did link that in the description, because I feel like out of the apocryphal books, that one has some very important information in it that we have forgotten in our modern day worlds. The Book of Enoch has some interesting theories, very much metaphysical based. You can use the term magic if you want. Paranormal is another good word for it. And a lot of people today think it was shunned because of that. But it also helps explain things that are referenced in the book of Genesis. Further on in like the New Testament, there's references to the book of Enoch as well. So it is a good, interesting book, especially if you want to understand or read about a little bit more about the Watchers and the Nephilim. Like I said, that's where Ramiel makes his kind of first appearance in the biblical Judeo-Christian line, was in the Book of Enoch. So, not a lot more I can talk about with him because there's not a lot out there. Ramiel is a very secretive angel. He works, like I said, with the records, the Akashic records with Archangel Metatron. He works with our ascension, which is again Metatron energy, but you also have him working to help with energy with Camiel, and he also tends to support Earth elemental energy. He's a very unique angel, not one that is commonly called on in most situations. Personally, I've only had 1 or 2 interactions on a metaphysical sense, because he's not one that I call on frequently, just doesn't resonate. But I figured we'll bring him forward, let you guys make your decisions, and we'll go from there. So if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and comment below if you've ever worked with Ramiel, if this is a completely new angel to you, or if it's something that you might want to look into more for you personally. Like I said, there's not a lot of information out there with him, so your experiences are probably more valid than some of the stuff that you can find online when it comes to this particular angel. So there's that. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.